It is time to talk Metroid for the first time in 2026, the year that Metroid celebrates its 40 years of existence. So, the Famitsu interview, we're going to get into that. I'm going to go through that whole thing, and I'm looking at it now. It looks fairly long. So, yeah, we got to get into that. But I just want to mention that before the holiday, the last Metroid video I was working on was titled something along the lines of "Blame Metroid Prime 1 for Metroid Prime 4's shortcomings." Right? And I had a whole bunch of points that I had wrote down. So I'm going to try to get to that at some point during this Metroid conversation. And the reason for that is because there's been a lot of negativity around Metroid Prime 4, right? And some of it 100% justified. A lot of it you would think Metroid Prime 4 kicked in these dudes' doors, slept with their wife in front of them, took their kids, packed them all up in the goddamn truck, and left with his family. And he's just there, like, what happened? What just happened? Yeah, that never happened. But you would swear dead the way they taking this game so personally. And I'm a person who anticipated this game for years. A person who talks about Metroid even when there's no Metroid around to talk about Metroid, I usually still find time to, hey, while I'm talking about everything else, obviously this is the recipe. I talk about everything in gaming and things in movies and all that here. Yeah, Metroid has always been a big part of this, right? And some after last year would say, hey, it's the biggest part of the channel. It hasn't always been, but it's always been in the conversation every single year. Why? Because I love the IP. And I played this game. I saw it for what it was. I made videos on it. I told y'all how I genuinely felt about it. For me, this game, after playing through it basically twice, I'm like, it's a nice 8.5 Metroid Prime game. And there ain't nothing wrong with that at all. At all. But for some people, it's like, nah, this game is a zero. It's the worst thing ever. Kill the franchise. It's crazy. So what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to take this video that I was cooking up and I'm going to just use it as a opportunity at some point after we get through the Famitsu stuff, right? Hell, I might splice it in between if it warrants it, right? If it, pops up in the conversation. But I just want to say, I want to get all the negative out right here, right now. So that in the future, when I talk about this game, in the future, when I'm playing this game, I can just point you in the direction of these last three videos, back to back to back, where I talked about Metroid Prime 4 and I gave you my honest opinion, all the positives and all the negatives. And the reason why I want to do that is because there was a Metroid Prime 4 that existed on this channel before Metroid Prime 4 existed. And y'all heard me talk about it for years. Oh, this is what I want. That's what I want. This is what I want. So I want to talk about a lot of those things because they didn't happen. And how I feel about that, right? Because it's one thing for you to want them, but want something, but that don't mean that you're gonna get exactly what you want. Now I've been lucky at times with things like Mario Odyssey, Bowser's Fury, where it was like, yeah, that design is literally what I was asking for. And then when they did it, I was like, yeah. And they turned out to be my favorite Mario experiences because I just felt like that would be the best way to go about it, and it happened. It's not going to happen every time, right? But yeah, I still want to talk about 20 years worth of hopes and dreams, and then getting what we actually got, which I accepted it for what it is, enjoyed it for what it is. But is it the game that I would have made? Obviously, the answer to that is no. Because y'all going to be like, yo, Red, man, we heard you talk about this game and everything you wanted from this game. No way that game lived up to the game that you wanted. You're right, it didn't. It didn't. But the game I wanted also, what game like it actually exists, right? But yeah, we're going to talk about it. So I want to get into the Famitsu interview right now. And yeah, let's see what this is all about. I'm sure this is going to be interesting because all I saw in the YouTube feed, I ain't watched these videos, but all I saw was people like, what really happened? Why Metroid was like this, straight from the horse's mouth. So I want to see what all the hoopla is about. Yeah, let's get into it right now. Oh, and just to be clear, just because I'm going to be negative at points and things like that, or sound negative, whatever, it don't mean that I hate Metroid. It don't mean that I think the game is trash. Da, da, da. I said what I said, 8.5. 8.5. Why? That the screech, man, the screech, it gotta be an 8.5. You take the screech away, it would be a 9. I really hate it that goddamn much, the Grievous screech, man. But yeah, let's get into it right now with this interview. I'm actually excited because this is literally the first actual time that we get anything said about this game after it's been in our hands. So again, I'm checking out Sean Sparkus. Shout out to them. They did a full translation, if I'm not mistaken, human translation. So yeah, here we go. So a game that delivers a new experience while keeping Prime's essence. All right. What was the context behind this game's development? So it says development team. I don't know who this is. I don't know if this is Tanabe talking. I would assume it's Tanabe, but I think it would have said his name. So it's a development team. I'm not gonna assume. It don't matter. It's Nintendo. It's Famitsu. It's Japan for sure, right? It's a Japanese interview, so it's the Japan side, not the retro side. Let's get to it. All right. So development team says the project began following a request from Nintendo of America. They requested that we develop a numbered Metroid Prime, which is to say a new mainline entry. I already want to say, let's stop right there, but I'm going to keep going. We thought about how to create a game that delivers a new experience while keeping Prime's essence. We also wanted this game story to focus on the relationship between Samus and Silex, something that we were already planning to explore at some point. During this game's long development period, were there... Oh, that's the next question. All right, I see how they... All right, cool. So that was the first part. The first thing I want to say is they requested that we develop a numbered Metroid Prime, which is to say a new mainline entry. See, that was the first part right there. And I said this years ago, right? I said, every time I say Metroid Prime 4, know that I mean an FPA game. I don't want it to be called Metroid Prime 4 because it doesn't make sense because Prime is done. And I don't want that to restart. I don't want them to restart that story. They didn't. This game shouldn't be called Metroid Prime 4. And I know some people will be like, yo, it shouldn't be called Metroid Prime 4 because it's not as good as the other Prime game. Look, haha, yeah. But nah, for real, like, it just shouldn't, genuinely, for the actual themes and the story of the game, it being called Metroid Prime is dumb. Like, oh no, this is the Prime series. No, Prime was a character in the game. And it was phased on and all of that. And that was all wrapped up in the bow, done. We didn't need Metroid Prime 4. We just needed Metroid Beyond. Like, and that's it. Metroid Beyond. That's the name. And it's an FPA. We get it. We're not dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, customers aren't dumb. But anyway, yeah, so to me, that was, you know, the first mistake, and then deliver a new experience while keeping Prime's essence. Prime's essence. Not the Prime trilogies. Nah. All right, so we're going to talk about that, though. But, yeah, it very much felt like they try to keep Prime's essence. This is what I was going to talk about in my video. Is like, what was, again, the title of that video I said? Blame Metroid Prime 1 for Metroid Prime 4's shortcomings. Not saying that to make Metroid Prime like the bad guy here. Not at all. If you're taking that title like that, you're taking it wrong. The point is that this game failed to live up to Metroid Prime while attempting to be Metroid Prime. So blame Metroid Prime, for being so good. Oh yeah, we gonna try, and didn't even live up to that. But at the same time, this game didn't even live up to it because it was trying to be like it, which was a limitation on it. But let's keep going with this interview. During this game's long development period, were there any hurdles or points that you had to particularly pay attention to? Development team. The project changed development companies partway through. We knew that. And was started over at Retro Studios. However, at the time, Retro Studios was not prepared to make a Metroid Prime game, so we had to start by putting the right structure in place for it. We also knew that too. We saw the development hires. We knew the Retro that was making Donkey Kong was far different from the Retro that was making the Prime games. A lot of people from Prime, a lot of people went to 343 and just went and did other studios, went and started making Batman games and all that. So, yeah, we know this part. We also outsourced the creation of background models and cutscenes to other companies, with the backgrounds in particular requiring a lot of outside help. So we first had to select those companies and manage the collaboration throughout. The progress management staff helped a lot to supervise both the scheduling and quality, and we are very thankful. Likewise, we are extremely thankful to everyone in the many studios who created these assets. So yeah, a lot of that stuff being done outsourced. I mean, a lot of video games do that. A lot of video games do that. You know, you hear about Naughty Dog's games having a lot of outsourcing. So that's nothing that you gotta like really read into too much. You know, obviously, it's cool to hear like, oh, a lot of outsourcing was creating the background models and cutscenes and things like that, which is cool because I'm like, man, work with those companies again because, you know, the cutscene in this game was cool, and hopefully, you know, it'll be more robust cutscenes in the future with more, you know, better, I would say more thought out and placed dialogue all around. You know what I'm saying? To make it just flow better. But whatever. Let's keep it going. As for the points that we paid attention to, maybe getting the new staff to understand our design philosophy, it took them time to understand that we weren't just making a game, but crafting the player experience, and in particular, to grasp the concept of Ma. What? What the hell is MA? Negative space. That is so characteristic of Metroid Prime. Okay, I guess they call that Ma. By the end of by all right, by the end, we believed they assimilated the Japanese concept of Ma in itself. All right, next question is: with this being the first new numbered entry in 18 years, did the change of time influence development in any way? I'm gonna say I assume it did, but anyway, development team at the start of this project, maybe due to the influence of the Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Name drop. We noticed quite a lot of opinions on the internet along the lines of I want to try an open world Metroid. I mean, I know I said stuff like that, but were many people clamoring for open world Metroid? I don't know. But I know it could work if done properly. You know what I'm saying? But let's just say they definitely didn't land that if that was the attempt. But anyway, let's keep it going. However, Metroid's core principle of acquiring new abilities to expand the explorable space didn't mesh well with the go anywhere you want from the start promise of open worlds. Because of that, we decided to restrict the freely explorable space and make it a hub that connects the other areas between them. We also figured that by allowing players to comfortably traverse that area with the bike, this can make the explorable less stressful and add some variation to the game's overall pacing. Consequently, completing the game took longer than expected, and we could see that players' opinions of open world games were starting to shift. But nonetheless, at the time, we restricted development with we restarted development with Retro Studios. We couldn't see ourselves going back to the drawing board after development had already been reset once. So we decided to stick to our what? Wait, am I tripping, or are they saying they restarted then they restarted with retro? Because that I gotta read that again because that's crazy. It says consequently completing the game took longer than expected, and we couldn't see that players and we could see that players' opinions of open world games were starting to shift. But nonetheless, have they started to shift? Because I'm sure the best-selling game this year is gonna be an open world game. But anyway, I say, yo, that's cheating, right? Come on, it's GTA. But nonetheless, at the same time, at the time we restarted development with Retro Studios, we couldn't see ourselves going back to the drawing board after development had already been reset once. So we decided to stick to our guns and complete the game according to the initial concept. During the time shooters and action games evolved, especially when it comes to game speed. Oh, so they did play Doom. But following those trends would have made it difficult to maintain the pacing of an adventure game. What? So we deliberately ignored them. What? In other words, this is a game that is nearly unaffected by the change of times. Yeah, it feels like that. What? This is baffling, bro. All right, so, well, I guess it's time to go in. All right. So we couldn't see ourselves going back to the drawing board after development had already been reset once. So we decided to stick to our guns and complete the game according to the initial concept. So the concept that they developed, even that was what Retro had to make. Retro didn't develop the concept for this game. So Retro was forced to erase people's drawing and fix it. Basically, they made a real trash Metroid logo tattoo on somebody, and then it was like, now we got this good tattoo artist now to come over it and actually make it look pretty, and they made it look gorgeous. But at the end of the day, it was still made on top of something that was like heavy, deep, ink, where it was like, yeah, it was really hard to cover it up. So kind of, this art, while it's nice, is affected by the ugly art that's under it. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, your tattoo is nice for what it is. And the reason for this is because we had to draw over that. If I would have made you a goddamn Screw Attack logo, fresh from the start, oh, it would have been way better. You know what I'm saying? Because I would have had a clean canvas to work on and not having to redo somebody else's work. Is basically what I'm hearing here. And then the wildest one to me, y'all remember the Metroid game? I wonder if you don't, let me refresh your memory real quick, because this was all part of my conversation of why I was saying in this video that I was, that I'm basically putting in this video, blame Metroid Prime for Metroid Prime 4 shortcoming, is they made this game, you could tell, on the bones of Prime 1. And that's why there's no Screw Attack. That's why they didn't upgrade ledge grabbing. Talking about speed will make it worse. Samus is a fast character. What are you talking about? Samus should just move a little bit slower than the Doomslayer does in Doom Eternal. Samus should be doing the same thing the Doomslayer is doing in Doom Eternal. Running on wall, grabbing on walls and climbing them. She does that in Dread. And they showed you could do all of this and it works beautifully. That game won Game of the Year for many people. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Like, I put it up there with Mario Odyssey. Like, it's one of those games where it's just like out of this world. Like, it's just crazy that they exist because they're just so wild. Every inch of those games, you could just feel love and care of the designers who made them. Dude, the Doomslayer could climb walls. Samus does that. But then you already gave her in Prime 4, the hook shot style grapple beam. Those two things married together would have been literally Dread. It's like you didn't want to make the game faster. Like, Samus in Other M did cool stuff. One of the coolest things is the way she was actually depicted, which was fast. And you know what she was able to do? Glory kills. Yes, glory takedowns, whatever you want to name them. But Samus in the Prime games, every game, what made them better was that you saw her more. You saw her pop out more, whether it was more cinematics, you going into the Dark World and things like that. But it was also you seeing her in Screw Attack, more Morph Ball things. Like, I love the Morph Ball Slinky that they put in Prime 4. Great, but there wasn't enough puzzles with it. That's why I said in my previous video, when it came to DLC and stuff like that, yeah, like, you just put a bunch of shrines in the desert. That would have made it great. Because it would have been reasons to have these abilities, these power-ups, and to explore beyond the credits rolling. You get what I'm saying? Like, if the game would have had that kind of budget. Like, yeah, open world, like actual open world where you can decide to go and pick and choose, where this game kind of faked you out, made you think Prime 4, like, oh yeah, you can go wherever you want, do whatever you want. They know you had to go here, to go there, to get this, to get that, to go there. Like, it was definitely in the line. We all played this game in the same direction, I'll say. Not the same way. Because some of us didn't have any issues with none of the green stuff because we actually collected them because the game told us to. And then we was putting them in the thing and then upgrading out. We played the game the way it was supposed to be played. Like, it's wild. But, yeah, man. Like, this is crazy to me. Like, yeah, we just put our head in the sand. And remember, before this came out, I said, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised until they put their head in the sand and just ignore everything else. Like, the Prime games kept adding new mechanics. You had your shield, ripping off shields and everything. It was becoming more physical and everything. And then when you see Samus and Dread, you use your grapple beam and you take those big doors and you move them out the way. You know what I mean? Or those things that were in front of the doors. There were certain doors you had to actually open by pulling them open. Like, that from the trilogy came into the 2D games, and the 2D stuff was making their way into the 3D games, and you had other M, and it was right there, and then you got the melee move in Metroid 2 remake and in Dread. So it's like, yes, Samus is now interacting more with the enemy she's fighting, and then they get to this game, and they're like, yeah, we're not gonna do none of that. We're gonna ignore everything that came after this. Like, that's crazy. That is a crazy. We deliberately ignore them. In other words, this game, this is a game that is nearly unaffected by the change of the times. That's not okay. This is what I be talking about. Like, yo, like, this is why I always say, like, I didn't want Metroid Prime again. I wanted the next Metroid Prime game that built on everything. That means you saw Doom was like, yeah, we didn't need green strips to grab on ledges. We figured that all out. Okay, cool. It's right there. That was a decade after and a decade before Prime 4 would come out. Make that a decade after 3 and a decade before the game would even come out. Like, that's crazy. Crazy base. And they was like, yeah, ignore all of it. What? I could only imagine being Retro Studios, yo. I'm gonna be real right here. Because they from the States, I'm gonna say, I know for a fact they was ripping their hair out. I need a picture of Retro Studio development team like that, including the women. I bet you everybody bald. Because they all ripped their hair out. Because they was like, bruh, right here. And it's like, I could just right here. And they was like, no, Metroid Prime 1. And it's like, but we not even matching Metroid Prime 1, right? Nah, we are. Like, but we not. Labyrinthy style, door to door, room to room to room. Yeah, we not really doing that like that. At all. Elements are here, but the essence is like, yeah, you missing it in the actual game design. And they're like, no, it's all good. And that could maybe be new retro and you need better map designers and things like that. All right, well, I think they know now. Because everyone said that. Everyone who's liked the game and everyone who's hated the game. So I know that they know what they got to work on. And I hope it's not a situation where it's like, oh, no, we're just going to deliberately ignore that and just not make no more Prime games. Like, nah. We want more Prime games. But we want a new Prime game. And it's crazy, like, that there'll be Metroid fans who listen to me and say, like, yeah, no, I don't want Metroid to be like Doom Eternal. You crazy? Like, and it's like, if that game comes out, that game would have been the Breath of the Wild moment for Metroid. There's a lot of people right now be like, oh no, I don't like Breath of the Wild. Yeah, that's cool. But guess what? If they didn't do that, Zelda would be selling its 7 if it's lucky, 8 million if it's truly lucky sales and be done. But because they went in the direction that was bigger, grander, and evolved all aspects of everything. Oh yeah, you see that wall? Yeah, all of them you could climb it. Wait, but that's gonna change the design of everything. Then get to work. And they made it work. And there was rooms where it was like, yeah, nah, you can't climb these walls. Justify how. Reason, shrine, there you go. And it made the series blow up and go and become a juggernaut. Now we got a movie coming out and everything. And these dudes was like, yeah, nah, you know what? Put your head in the sand. Like, damn. Now I get why Vuros is a desert, yo. It was Retro Studios telling us this is the game where we had to put our head in this fucking sand. But anyway, development team. It means beyond time and space. The question was, what is the meaning behind the subtitle beyond? It means beyond time and space. You didn't make that claim in the game, the time part. The space part, absolutely. The time part, you didn't explain nothing. What would you say is without a doubt the main appeal of Metroid Prime 4? On the technical side, probably the game's beautiful graphics. I mean, that is the number one aspect of this game. Thanks to its many high-resolution textures, or the fact that it runs at a steady 60 frames on Nintendo Switch, 120 frames on Switch 2 edition. We use the hardware to its fullest potential. Gameplay-wise, it offers unique first-person adventure experience. Unique? What do you mean? You just told us that you deliberately ignored it. It's not unique. It's unique that it's a Prime game. Absolutely. There's a morph ball, there's grappling, there's swing. Yeah, that's unique. But it's not that unique. Come on, look, I'm going to say this, and this might be blasphemous to a lot of y'all, but I played this game from beginning to end, right? And I'm about to play the DLC for it, actually, because I'm seeing them promoting the sequel already, so I got to be ready for part 2. I got the DLC, but never got around to it, so I'm going to do that literally very, very soon. And what I'm talking about is, all right, so there's Doom eternal. Where it's like, if I was to tell somebody, all right, you're gonna make a Metroid Prime game, style game, not Metroid Prime. Let me stop saying Prime. A Metroid first-person adventure like the Metroid Prime trilogy. Your homework would be the Metroid Prime trilogy first, and then it would be Doom Eternal, and then it would be, and hear me, because if you didn't play it, don't judge what I'm about to say, because if you played it, you know that I'm not lying. High on Life. High on Life is literally like the evolution of Metroid Prime. And when you are fully powered up in that game and you got all your abilities and you could grapple and run on walls and everything and then traverse the areas and backtrack the areas to complete the areas, just like in Metroid, the way you went about it was like, man, I was in these areas, walked through them multiple times, but now I'm literally flying through them because the way that I can move around, traverse, and fight enemies and weapons and da 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 da, it was smooth. And I don't know if you've seen it, you probably haven't, but go out and check out the gameplay that they put out on on the Squanch YouTube channel. It's like 45 minutes of High on Life gameplay. You're on a skateboard most of the game on the new one now. Why? So the character, to justify the character moving faster. They actually made level design in the level seamlessly. You'll see vert ramps and things like that, which I find very incredible. And I look at Prime and go, yeah, there was vert ramps in that and all that for the morph ball. But they're using it in actual you just running around gameplay. So it's like, yeah, you could literally kick flip in the air while blasting somebody, while still grapple beaming and doing all the stuff that you do in the Metroid Prime game, double jumping and all of that. It's wild. And these games exist. And it was like, yeah, nah. We don't care about none of that. Like, they really took it and made it something special. You know what I'm saying? And these guys talking about gameplay wise, it offers a unique first person adventure experience. Like, in what year? In what year? Like, you're out of your mind. And they continue. And if you play it all the way to the end, it is a memorable experience that leaves you with much more than just a satisfaction of beating the game. I mean, it left me wanting more. Like, yeah, I think Silex is a cool character because that's all this game did was make Silex get the green juice to become a beast of a character who could jump through the galaxy and do crazy stuff. So he's a very interesting character now, right? And that's with them barely giving the dude any dialogue and having a very, 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 very shallow, and scarce backstory. But I continue. Please tell us more about some features unique to the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. In particular, what did you focus on when adjusting the feel of the mouse controls? This guy's bringing up the mouse controls. Okay. With this game being primarily played in first person, we wanted a mouse mode to feel satisfying and meet the expectation of players who are used to this type of controls. We dedicated a lot of time to adjusting the camera controls and the cursor movement, and we added a multitude of options for players to set to their liking. Then, as we became more familiar with the Joy-Con 2's functionality, we felt that being able to seamlessly switch between mouse controls and stick controls would make for an amazing experience that is only possible on Nintendo Switch 2. Really? You think so? Because there's a lot of first-person shooters on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, so you can literally plug in the keyboard and the mouse and use mouse. I'm just saying, I know it's not the exact Joy-Con experience, but mouse control's been on consoles now for years. Must be part of the head in the sand thing. But anyway, as a result, a lot of time was spent on developing the technology to automatically detect if you're using mouse controls or stick controls and minimize accidental inputs. I mean, yeah, that's awesome. I'm not taking nothing away from that. The Joy-Cons are crazy what they could do. The team put considerable effort into making this control scheme the best it could be, so we were really pleased with the positive feedback we received during the Nintendo Switch 2 Experience event. We look forward to more people experiencing these controls once the game is out. I actually never did experience them like that and don't really care because I don't really play with mouse and stuff like that, but it's cool that it's an option. Next question, which aspects did you particularly focus on when creating the planet Vuros? For Fury Greens, the game's first area, the staff in charge of that art and environment design put a lot of effort into conveying the feeling of a jungle from another world. Naturally, we put a lot of care into giving the other areas and the environments a strong personality as well. In particular, the Lemoyne culture is expressed through their particular architecture featuring elegant curves that convey the feeling of unity. Unity, yeah? Yeah, we know what you're talking about. A testament to concept artist Steve Berg's aesthetic sense. Yeah, elegant curves that convey the feeling of unity. Yeah, we know. We see the doors. Yeah. So, all right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. From control beam to the idea of psychic abilities. All right. How did you come up with this game's new psychic abilities and which aspects did you focus on? All right. Development team says while we were in the prototyping stage, we came up. When we were in the prototyping stage, now does that mean? I'm guessing because Retro didn't get to prototype, right? Because that would mean them building from the ground up. So I'm guessing this is whatever they were doing with the alleged Namco team that was making the game. Anyway, while we were prototyping in the prototyping stages, we came up with the idea of controlling the charge beam. We got this feature programmed in and tested and determined it could be a new gameplay element. But then came the question of how can Samus do that? It's from there that we came up with psychic abilities. Jesus Christ. Later on, once development was transferred to Retro, yeah, see, there you go. Transferred to Retro Studios, we asked them to create the rest of the psychic abilities. Oh my God! If all right, so look, if I was, oh my Lord, if I was on, if I was in Retro Studios position, right? If let's say I was the head of Retro Studios, and they came to me and it was, all right, this is the Metroid game. Look at this cool idea we came up with, controlling the missiles. I'm like, what you mean? Like you feel like you came up with that? Like these guys got to be kidding me. Like I could grab probably over a dozen games from my collection right now, going back to the 90s that included missiles that you could control and slow down at that and make them go faster. Something that you can't do in Prime 4. Probably head in the sand again. Like, yo, if they would have came to me with that and be like, all right, yeah, flesh this idea out. I'm like, all right, cool. Psychic ability, garbage. We throwing that right in the garbage. Like, why does she need that? She has tech and everything. Let's give her a missile expansion that, yeah, she could control that missile, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Then you could use that and go through stuff in order to complete puzzles, no different from the morph ball. You know what I'm saying? It's just more like a flying morph ball. Think of it like that. Like what? Y'all needed to come up with this whole psychic ability, and then y'all did nothing with it. I did more with it before the game came out. I was like, oh yeah, you're gonna be able to psychic pull an enemy to you, right? Grab him probably by the throat and just cannon in the goddamn space pirate mouth and blah, green blood all over your screen. You know what I'm saying? Green, rated T for teen. None of that happened. Force pushing enemies away off of a clip would have been really cool. You know what I'm saying? Why not? Nope. You know what I'm saying? Like. Nothing. Like, oh look, we fighting right here. There's like a ledge right here. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like it's clearly saying, where it's like it's a platform. You don't want to fall off it. Force abilities, pull them off it. If they're on that platform over there, pull them towards me. Let go halfway. They fall off. They don't make it to my platform. Boom. You can see fun like that, and then you can see puzzle like that. Pull the thing to you. Hold it. Throw it there. Like Portal existed, for crying out loud. Samus arm cannon could have did all of that. And that's what you came up with? Her left hand should have actually did the cool stuff that I was thinking of. Like, a Zero Suit mission. That could have been fun. Going from Zero all the way to Hero would have been cool. But literally, like, picking up another weapon because, okay, I need this weapon in order to open doors in this area. So you got to take out an enemy and pick up their weapon. So it's like an ability, but it's not yours, actually. It's one that you borrow. It's like, man, but that's not really Metroid. Exactly. You still got your cannon, and it's upgrading. With super cool upgrades, not just a little bit of spikes right here. More and more creative things. Like y'all did fire, ice again, electricity. How generic could it be? Like that's generic beyond generic, and that's what makes it feel like, oh, it's Prime all over again. It was made on the bones of Prime, and what was there? Ice, fire. Where the hell was the plasma beam? They forgot that one, huh? Oh, they ain't have time for that one. Like it's crazy. It's crazy how it's like. So many aspects of this game, clearly you can now see it was just like this because head in the sand. This is insane to me. Like, insane. But nah. Let me be fair. Because it's not all Prime 1. Other stuff from the trilogy made it into Prime 4. You have one enemy that has a shield and you could rip the shield off him. That's from Prime 3. Ooh, wow. But what about a screw attack? From Prime 2 and 3. Like, why are we making Metroid games without the screw attack in it? The screw attack. We figured out how to do it in a 3D game, first person game. We did it in the second one. We did it in the third one. And then you didn't do it in the fourth one. The screw attack, the logo of the game, is not a thing in the game. Because reasons. Like, that's wild. But anyway, I digress. Let's keep it going. So yeah, they asked Retro, to create the rest of the psychic abilities. Speaking of, and this is the question, speaking of new gameplay elements, there's also the bike-like vehicle, Viola. Please tell us about how it came to be and which aspects you focused on. Also, any advice to get good at driving it? Alright, so development team says, while we were conceiving the freely explorable hub area, Soul Valley, came the issue of movement speed. Even if you can move around freely, having to traverse a large area by foot can still be stressful. While Samus does have the ability to allow for fast movement like the boost ball or the speed boosters, in order to satisfy both the moving around freely at high speed in a large area and stylish aspects, we determined that riding the bike would be the optimal solution. And I think that's good, right? Because her just speed running through the whole thing, I would have been like, if that's the only way to use the speed and then break through the rocks that are there to get the green gems, I would have been like, yeah, this is way worse than having the motorcycle. Me personally, it just would have looked so goofy and really underbait. Especially if it was her in third person running through it, like the camera panned out a bit so you could like see her like running, like zooming. Or even if it wasn't first person, it would have just probably been goofy. Like, so yeah, I think the bike was a good addition. It just didn't do enough. But anyway, let's keep it going. Our priority was to make the very act of driving in itself enjoyable, so the programmers and game designers at Retro Studios fine-tune it to ensure that, and we think that the end result has a very satisfying feel. I think it's fine, yeah. But it's driving. They're acting like if they, doing something like reinventing the wheel. There's been driving the video game since the first goddamn consoles, basically. I don't know. It just seems like weird. Put so much emphasis on that. All right, so furthermore, the map design team made the terrain with a lot of relief so you can truly feel the weight. And once you're able to freely control the drift and change direction, it offers a perfect combination of fun and maneuverability. Sure. Are there any strategies, things to keep in mind, and general advice to share for this game? If this game is your first time playing the Prime series, always remember to scan things. Not only does it flesh out the game's world, it can provide helpful hints and solve puzzles or defeat bosses. We also recommend saving at save stations as often as possible. All good advice. Before this game came out, one of the things that I wanted, to bring that back into the topic, what I said I wanted was auto scanning, where you was just pointing your pointer and it would just have things popping up on your actual visor, where you could read it or you could choose to ignore it subtly, but it's there. And some people might say, oh, it's like weird text popping up all the time. I'm like, dude, I mean, most video games are doing that. It's stuff popping up all the time. So, yeah, I thought that would be a cool way, And then I thought, yeah, like having a mass scan the room thing, which kind of, scanning on the vehicle on Viola kind of felt like that. But yeah, I was just, thinking about ways of evolving scanning in the Metroid game. They didn't. Funny enough, they really, really didn't. And to speak on the Viola stuff, them talking about the driving around and movement is just like, yeah, sure, but it would have been cool to actually, have it do more, have more enemies to fight. I like what's there. Don't get it twisted. Like, it's just not enough. And it's not, and nothing is an actual threat. Let's keep it 1,000. And I like, that they had the boss battles on there. I like that when they went on lava, it transformed and all that. You needed an upgrade for that. That was cool. It would have been nice if there was more stuff like that. And it would have been nice If in Soul Valley, then it would have been an area where there was lava where you couldn't traverse over. Now you could go past that area, and now you get to the other side of Soul Valley. You know what I mean? Maybe there was a jet ski version or a submarine version. Now you can go into the water under. You know, and that was something. And then Soul Valley, more than just a desert, just sand for you to put your head under. So yeah, like there was a lot that they could have did there, but I can make a million videos on a million ways they could have made Soul Valley better. What else? We have, what can you tell us about this game's placement in the timeline? We knew it. Ooh, it's a good question. We know it takes place after Metroid Prime Federation Force, but can you give us a more precise time frame? Development team. It is set between Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion. What? All right. Before or after Other M? That's the question. Because that's also after Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion. There's a lot going on in between. So in between what, one and two, you had the trilogy. Now after, yeah, that's crazy. More reason why this shouldn't be called Prime in the first place. But anyway, that being said, in this game, Samus is sent to another dimension. You didn't really, I feel like you didn't really tell us that, but sure, we could have, guessed that. Beyond space and time. So you don't need to worry about the timeline. This was deliberate choice. This was a deliberate choice, giving us freedom to create a unique setting for Metroid Prime without impacting the 2D Metroid series. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, I keep saying that a lot, but oh dear God. Oh my God. Before the game came out, right? I said you could just make FPA games. Don't call it Prime. And then it'd be cool if you just did something where Samus jumped through time, since Tanabe had said he wanted to do something with time years and years ago. I was like, jump through time and have it where now you make a second timeline. And I know people are like, oh, Zelda got it. Yeah, I don't care. I'm like, do it. Mine as well. So you could be free and Sakamoto could be free, right? Like these two games could be free to do whatever they want. Look, in the perfect world, we could just all be kumbaya good. You tell your story, I tell my story, and we do it together. And we're like, oh, so we don't step on each other's toes, right? So it's like you're the director of yours, and I'm the producer, or whatever. And I got a producer credit, right? And then on mine, I'm the director, and you get a producer credit. It's like vice versa, right? So the timeline is just one thing. You would think that a company like Nintendo could do this, but guess not. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, this is something I thought that they should have did. Now they telling me that they did this in the interview, giving us the freedom to create a unique setting for Metroid Prime without impacting the 2D series. So Samus was sent to another dimension beyond space and time, so you don't need to worry about the timeline no more. Okay. So now they're telling us that this is a second timeline. We're going to take it as that now, all right? From now on, the Metroid Prime series is a different timeline. Nothing that comes after this matters to Other M, to Fusion, and to Dread. This is something else. Got it. Silex isn't in that timeline. That's why he's never around. He's in this timeline. Now you might say, nah, what if this is the same Samus, but then she gets back to that timeline? You know what I'm saying? And then it's like the story continues. I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. But you're right, you could do something like that. She could go through all the Silex trials and tribulations for a whole trilogy of games. And when it's all said and done, end up at the right timeline, having it where, Duke and Armstrong, none of these guys ever got, warped to Vuros and everything like that. And yay, she saved the day, back on the main timeline. Other M is about to happen soon. Remember me? No, because you ain't Duke. You know what I'm saying? And I never knew you outside that. I'm trying. So, let's see what the next question is. What intentions did you have in mind when you wrote and designed the antagonist Silex? I don't know, to make plenty of fights fake for no reason. Oh, it's a machine with no context at all. So weird. And I like the fights a lot. Even though, for the most part, the whole game is pretty much easy. But most Metroid games are easy. Like, none of them are really, like, excruciatingly difficult. Unless you're playing them on the hard mode, you know what I mean? But yeah, yeah, Silex, I don't know why those fights were fake, like fake out fights. What was the point of that? But anyway, the development team says back when Metroid Prime Hunters was in development at NST, the game designers came up with backstories for each of the bounty hunters. Among them, Silex was that he hated the Galactic Federation and Samus, but we requested that they not establish a reason for it. Why? Because you were going to? Sure, I ain't see it. Uh, that way, if we were to one day make a game that explores that reason, we wouldn't be restricted by the existing story. You literally told the same story in Prime 4 that they told us, basically. Anyway, and I thought that the ending of Metroid Prime 3 and Federation Force included some foreshadowing. It is only with this game that, for the first time, we decided concretely what happened in the past. So that was it. Dude wanted a weapon that belonged to the space pirates, or was it that he got mad that he was doing his own thing? He had direct orders. He didn't like those orders, and then Samus was there and saved the whole day while all his people got obliterated. Was that it? Because you didn't really make it clear. But sure, this is gonna be the game that's gonna tell us his backstory. All right. So anyway, where was I? These events occasionally appear to Samus like flashbacks when she resonates with Silex's mind. Due to his self-righteous and narrow-minded personality, Silex came to bear a grudge against Samus and the Galactic Federation. Also, while keeping the original color and look as a base, Retro Studios artist redesigned his suit. Lore-wise, we justified it by him modifying the suit using nanotechnology belonging to the Galactic Federation. Did you justify it? Where in the game? Through a scan, maybe? We think it resulted in a more refined, cool-looking design. He definitely looked cool. Won't take that away from you. While this game still offers plenty of Metroid trademark isolation and exploration, it also sees Samus team up with the Galactic Federation troopers. What were the intentions behind that choice? The way we design games is that we usually start by establishing a theme, what we wanted the players to experience in this game. In that game, you know how normally the player will just press A without hesitation when finishing the game. Well, for Metroid Prime 4, we wanted them to feel hesitation and conflict at that moment. It's the purpose of that. It's for this purpose that the Galactic Federation troopers were also transported to planet Vuros, but no space pirates were, right? Anyway, it will make sense when you reach the ending. I mean, yeah, it makes sense, but it needs, to be made sense of with more entries, I feel. That was the first thing that we decided on, and from there, we thought about how to make these characters act realistically in the game. In that order, for example, rather than thinking about adding an escort mission or appealing to casual players and then considering each of these elements and incorporating them one by one, we instead designed the characters' AI, the events, and so on, so that you naturally find yourself thinking, this character seems cowardly, they must be weak in combat. I guess I'll have no choice but to protect them. Okay, I get what they saying, but yeah, like the characters, I don't know about rather than thinking about adding an escort mission or appealing to casual players, like that's literally what you did. But funny enough, I've seen so many people, shit on Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, complain about it, talk about how bad it is, and then I love when they say this. This is my favorite line. And I kind of don't even want to throw it out into the world so that they don't stop saying it, because it's like one of my favorite gotcha lines. And it's just when they go, and whenever I try to radio Mackenzie, whenever I need him, he doesn't even answer. And I'm like, when did you need him? Why did you need him? I thought the game was mad easy. I thought it was all a straight line. Why did you need to call Mackenzie? What did you need help with? Because I know I'd never did, really. You know what I'm saying? So that's funny. You know what I mean? To me, the same time they complaining, they saying that, oh, but when I needed him most, like, oh boy. But anyway, yeah, I don't buy none of this. This is all a load of crap, honestly, right now. This part right here, this aspect of the escort mission, appealing to casual player, considering each of these elements, incorporating them one by one. Like, nah. So it's like, oh, this guy's a coward, so I gotta help him. Yeah, that's literally the definition of an escort mission. Whether you're a coward or whether you're too young to defend yourself or whatever, it is what it is. Anyway, next question. You really get attached to each of these Galactic Federation troopers as you play the game? I don't know about really, but I definitely enjoyed my time with them that we had. And by the end, I didn't want to leave them. So in the sense, yeah, you do get attached for sure in that sense, but not like super, like not really, really attached. But yeah, the question is, you really get attached to each of these Galactic Federation troopers as as you play the game, starting with Mackenzie. Are there any aspects of their personalities or dialogues that you particularly paid attention to? All right, so the development team says, we decided on their personalities based on the role they would play. Mackenzie, the engineer, offers guidance during the game, so we went for a cheerful and calm personality. Since we no, since he also helps with developing new equipment, we decided to make him well versed in technology, but we didn't want him to seem unpleasant. So we also designed him to be a bit of a silly character who is easily frightened for Tokobi. For Tokabi, how you saying it? Tokobi, Tokabi, it don't matter. Tokabi, the sniper. We went for a quite lonely hunter, giving off a mystical vibe. There are many points in the game where he acts alone, so we gave him that personality. It would have been cool if you would have found him in shrines for those little personality moments when he tells you, "Oh, hey, Samus, you know, fancy meeting you here." Cheesy ass dialogue, but still, you know what I'm saying? If there would have been shrines where you going in and they're doing different things and stuff, or even if it was just him and he was on his own mission, that could have been fun. But anyway, so yeah, so we gave him the personalities. For Sergeant Duke and Private First Class Armstrong, the idea was that of a stubborn old man and his cheerful daughter. We made their dialogue and acting so that the contrast between the two would look endearing. I think that did come off in the game. I enjoyed them a lot. I know I definitely enjoyed them a lot more than other people because some people were acting like these two were worse than Mackenzie and things like that. I didn't find any of them to be bad, really. So, yeah, back to it. Moreover, when they accompany Samus, they have been programmed to behave like a reckless first class soldier who is prone to jumping headfirst into action, and a calm and collected, dependable sergeant with a strong firepower. We actually had planned some events centered around these two. However, due to scheduling constraints, Jesus, man, we unfortunately weren't able to implement them. Yeah, that's why that area feels incomplete. Didn't I say in the last video that when they're leaving, it felt like there was a whole escape sequence and everything with Viola? It just felt incomplete. But anyway, it says that we weren't able to implement them. The Android View 995 was conceived as the pilot for the giant mech. Since the other characters have strong personalities, we deliberately made him cold and robotic. One of his defining traits is his ability to fire multiple missiles at once from his shoulders, and we requested the animators to follow a pattern that is often seen in anime. Oh yeah, with the squiggly lines everywhere, the smoke. I could see that. It would have been cool if they each had abilities. So in those fights, like with Silex, and there would have been more of them where they were around, you could like make them use their ability, almost like the Guardians of the Galaxy game, something like that, where it's like, oh yeah, you got abilities, but I need you to use that right now. So then you could use the raining down missiles on enemies and stuff like that. It would have been cool. Like you could see that they just didn't. They had ideas and they just didn't have time. They spent so much time restarting, redoing, building the team to make this game. Shit is sad, bro, when you think about it like that. And it's actually incredible that the game came out as good as it actually did because clearly there was so much limitations there. And there's a lot there, you know what I'm saying? But I don't hate the game because of it. I just accept it for what it is. And it just feels like a Fusion like Prime game, you know? And calling it Fusion like sucks because it's like I like Fusion more, and you got the school attack and all that in that game. But anyway, what else? What was Oh yeah, that was everything for that. And what else do we have here? Finally, oh no, I'm lying. That's the next question after that. All right, so the next one is: do you have any behind the scenes anecdotes to share? Whenever we went on a business trip to visit Retro Studios, we would always bring them Japanese confectionery as a gifts. Mecha flavored chocolates and snacks were a big hit. There were also some rice crackers with really strong wasabi flavor that they really enjoyed. Texas, where Retro Studios is located, is well known for BBQ, though they accompany the meat with habanero pickles that are much too spicy for our taste. Retro Studio staff, on the other hand, would be munching away like it was nothing. Their tolerance to spicy food is on a whole other level than us Japanese. Yo, the fact that this is thrown into this, I'm not even mad at it. That's hilarious just to get that little behind the scenes look. All right, so finally, is there anything you would like to say to people who are currently playing Metroid Prime 4 or to convince those who haven't played it? Development team says, we would like you to experience this game's graphics and smooth gameplay, which we aim to be absolutely best amongst Nintendo games. I mean, it's up there. It's up there. And I'm be honest, yo, Mario Odyssey is up there too. Yo, that Switch version is beautiful. But it was always beautiful, but now it's goddamn gorgeous. Goddamn gorgeous. All right, we hope you won't only finish the game, but take the time to carefully inspect every nook and cranny of this world. Been there, done that, y'all. Been there, done that. But and that includes the Federation troopers too. Every dialogue and behavior has been meticulously crafted so they wouldn't feel like just another NPC. You'll definitely feel it if you regularly return to base camp and talk to them throughout the game. Yeah, I went back and heard their conversations. I heard Armstrong sing and stuff like that. What else? Finally, more than anything else, the Metroid Prime series is all about thinking and looking for the solution. I mean, yeah, the Metroid Prime trilogy was a lot more of that compared to this one, but yeah, this one has dashes of that, and that extends to the combat as well, exemplified by the boss battle. Okay, I was about to say not the regular combat, boss battles. Definitely, you still think about stuff, how to go about stuff. I love the boss battles in Metroid Prime 4. A lot of them are amongst the best in the entire Prime trilogy. I will say that. This kind of game might be rare in this day and age, but we believe it perfectly encapsulates the true fun of gaming. Listen, I had mad fun with this game too. Still, Metroid Prime 4 combines both the enjoyment of following your instincts and thinking outside the box, and is an experience you won't forget. We hope you'll give it a try, and I'll definitely not be forgetting Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So yeah, that's the end of the review, and my takeaway is, damn. All right, let's talk about it real quick, and I mean real quick, because I was talking about it the whole time while reading it. Yo, trials and tribulations is the theme of the game. This game went beyond development hell, right? Like, it went through a lot, clearly. I don't want to say development hell, but it went through a lot, you know? I mean, that is the term we use. So, that is the term I'll use. Development hell. Yeah, man, like, it went through it. That's crazy. Like, reading all of this. It's so much. Wow. I'm so disappointed though about the shooters, you know, they leveled up, they upgraded throughout the the 2 decades of Prime games, but yeah, we chose to ignore that. Like, what? And the main part of that is because they had to restart development and all of that. Is like, damn. Do you know how good a Metroid Prime game that is designed like Metroid Prime 1, 2, 3? Yes, because 3 is still the same damn corridor elevators are just plane rides, you know what I mean? But design them with I mean, yo, I'm thinking about it now, like, these dudes literally didn't even use the plane, they didn't do nothing like that. Even the loading screen, like, you had the cool one on the motorcycle, but there was some of you was just running, and those were horribly long loading times, no matter on what you playing on. On Switch 2, the loading times on those were atrocious. But yeah, damn. Remember the plane going through space, or if you were going from an area within the same world, there was a nice, beautiful sky that you was flying through, or if you was going through a specific place, like let's say in the pirate homeworld, you would be going through the actual, tunnels and things like that, and it felt very like matrixy and everything. Super cool. None of that. Damn. Damn, damn, damn. No screw attack, no grappling on edges, no cool psychic force power abilities and things like that. Nothing was actually. This game, you know what it is? After reading this, you could clearly, and I could see it already from playing it, but now reading this, you know for a fact, this game was like cool idea, cool, no time to elaborate on that. So you like the slingshot, grappling, with the morph ball, cool. We gonna do that shit 2-3 times, maybe 4 times max, and we out of there. That's all we got. Like that's it. Damn. Spider ball, yeah, 4 times, 5 times, done. You out of there. Damn. That last ability you get don't even matter. The I don't even know what it's called. The Lamoran ability. I don't even care. It does not even matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo. This is wild. So it was like, yeah, we had these ideas. We had like, look, when you look at the concept art to Vuros, and I'll say this, and then I'll start wrapping this thing up. When you think about Vuros and its concept art, and then you actually see what they gave you, it don't live up to it. Look, if you go to the desert in Breath of the Wild, that's a desert. And different parts of it have different effects. There's sandstorms, all of that. Sinkholes, all that. Giant enemies, that you can fight. Small enemies, all of that, right? Then you go to the Sand Kingdom in Mario Odyssey. You got the goddamn old Western style, roll. What is that? Like the goddamn, the damn giant dust bunny basically that rolls by every time in the Western. You got those rolling by. You got the sand moving on the actual sand on the ground. You get a little bit of that in Prime 4, but then you got different elements and all that. Like, yo, it's just different. There's night versions of it, day versions of it. You got your lion that you could ride on and ski around on and all that. Like, it's just different. You got your electrical wires that you could zip around on in order to get around quicker. You got your lizard man at the top of the tower that you could fly around and get around quicker too. Multiple ways to traverse the area. And this is one area in the Mario game, and it blows out Vuros. I was playing through that area, running around, and I'm like, damn, this area literally looks better than Vuros. Has more variety in the desert textures and everything like that. Parts with water, parts with purple gunk, parts where, it's sinkholes that lead to actual stuff. Like, what? And what they got to make here in the time that they got, look, credit to them. But goddamn, it's the worst desert that Nintendo made on Switch, basically. That's wild. If you compare that one area when you start the level in Kirby the Forgotten Land, the desert area, and then you gotta like go uphill and then you go down into the area and then the level starts, and the lighting is like super beautiful. It's like the evening, like right before it turns nighttime. You know what I'm saying? And it's beautiful. If you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. Like that right there blows out everything in Vuros. You know what I'm saying? And not in Vuros, in Soul Valley. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the best y'all could do with Soul Valley. And then you look at the concept art, the way it looked. Oh, it looked so beautiful. The different feeling sand that they had in those actual concept art, and none of that actually translated to the game. A lot of it did, that's in the concept art, but the overall didn't. And that's why when people go, oh yeah, this is the best looking game on Switch, this is the best looking Nintendo game, like aspects of it, yeah, but it's not the overall best. I'll still give Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and I put Mario Odyssey right up there. You know what I'm saying? As the best of the best when it comes to what Nintendo has done on Switch, 2 and stuff like that. And obviously I love Dread. Like I love Dread. I wish Dread got a update enhancement for Switch 2 and all of that. Like, Mario's about to get, like Kirby and the Forgotten Land got, like a lot of games been getting. I wish Metroid got some of that love too. And remaster, get that upgraded. Why not do that too? But yeah, man, like this, it's just like they made up ideas and then immediately was done. So it's like, yeah, we can, stop, do this morph ball, psychic ball thing, and it's like, yeah, if you actually use that and hit an enemy with it, a lot of the time that thing does mad damage. But it's like most of the time you can't do it because it's such a slow thing to do. Everything is slow. It's like, oh, psychic ability. Let me start. Let me do this. Blah, blah, blah. Like if you actually, we shouldn't be living in the world right now where in the last two Doom games, the Slayer had more abilities than Samus. Let that sink in. The Slayer, and a game that doesn't, pretend to be a first person event. It's definitely an adventure game, but it's with levels. It's levels. It's not an interconnected world. But the levels, especially in Eternal, were very much, especially with the hide stuff and everything, and in Dark Ages, they're very much like a Metroid. And if anything, they're very much like the Prime 4 levels, if you were to compare them to anything. And very action heavy, with nooks and crannies, with little secrets everywhere. But I 100% it Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And I 100% it Doom the Dark Ages last year. And I can tell you, Doom the Dark Ages, not only is it a better game, but the design of the game is better. And the way they laid out the secrets and the puzzles and everything within the actual levels is way better than Metroid Prime. And I would have never guessed that to be the outcome. Because I was always thinking like, yeah, it's going to be stuff like this. But come on, Metroid Prime with the Morph Ball and this and the school attack, like it's just going to be uncomparable. Because, there's going to be little puzzles and Spider Ball thing everywhere. Like, and it's not like that. It's just not like that. It's just a far more shallow Metroid Prime experience. And you know what's funny? Metroid Prime 4, to me, feels like the game people used to describe Metroid Prime 3 to be. But I never agreed with it. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all know I feel 2 and 3 are superior to 1. And I love 1. I always got to say that. But I just feel they are superior to me personally. And for that, like, not only personally, like, I can literally, if we want to debate it, we could talk about varied location, we could talk about music, we could talk about seamless ways to get around the world that wasn't as goddamn clunky as it was in Prime, and we could talk about just cooler world building and things like that, cooler boss battles and things like that. Like Prime 2 and 3 got, in all those aspects, I feel like got Prime 1 on all of that. That's why it's even a giant disappointment where it's like you could tell like they focused on that one, and then they couldn't even live up to that. If this game would have been Prime 1, it would have been a masterpiece. Yay. Happy for, like, oh, but you don't like Prime 1 more than 2 and 3. Listen, it's the first story. And what to me is just one giant game is what it felt like. Even though I know directors change in between. But in that timeline, going from, what was it, '02 to '07? What was it, '02, '04, '07? It was just, man, it was awesome. But yeah, this game is just different from those games, and it really doesn't feel like it's part of those games. It doesn't connect. If it's damn. You know what it is? Damn. This is crazy, because it's not as bad. I don't mean it like that, but it's a variation of it. Matrix 4, bro, where you got a trilogy that's fire. And I know people hated Matrix 2 and 3, and I loved them. I loved Matrix 2 and 3 a lot. A lot. And as much as the first one, genuinely. And aspects I like even more. It's funny, it's almost like the Prime trilogy, right? Where people say, oh, the first one is the only good one. 2 and 3 sucked. Like, what? And especially now, after 4 came out, people been showing their true colors. Like, oh yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, I never even liked the other games in the series either. So really, I only care about one game in the series. So yeah, the series could die. Like, wow. Told ya. Listen, man, I don't be lying on here. Eventually, you're going to see the truth come out. But yeah, it's very much Matrix 4 in that, yeah, like it doesn't attach to the other ones in any way that's meaningful, great, or whatever. Where it's like, oh yeah, when you watch a trilogy, oh yeah, go watch the 4th one now. Like, I would still tell a Metroid fan, like, oh yeah, play Metroid Prime 4 for sure, because it's a good game. Like, it's just a good game. It's not as good as Prime Trilogy, but it's damn sure a good game worth your time. Why not? You know what I'm saying? But Matrix 4, I would literally never recommend anyone watch that movie. But it's still like that kind of thing, where it's like a thing that's part of something, but don't really sit within the thing that people really enjoy. You could even, look, I enjoy the Hobbit movies for what they were. But I know damn well that they did not reach the caliber of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which is a goddamn masterpiece. You know, I could say that point blank, period. You know what I mean? People would even argue with me about this, but I'll say none of the Dark Knight trilogy ever reached the quality of actually the first one, Batman Begins, which is the best out of the three. Yeah, I know that's another one. I'm just dropping hot takes right now. But yeah, what was the point I was gonna make? No, the point is that you know, it's just one of those things where it's like it's not as good as the best of the best thing, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because at least it's not Matrix 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least it's not that. At least I would say this is The Hobbit. You can say whatever you want. Them shits all made $1 billion, made mad money, and for the most part are well-reviewed movies. You know what I'm saying? And I still enjoy them to this day, you know, for what they are. And I can enjoy watching all 6 movies, and they play really good together. You know what I'm saying? Even though the quality is lesser in the trilogy. And that's why the same thing like Metroid. Time. Somebody else was working on something. Oh yeah, we want you to do his homework. Only thing difference was that Peter Jackson was like, nah, I'm not doing Guillermo del Toro's homework. Like, for him, you bugging. This one I'm gonna redo it over. But then Warner Brothers being who they were, and it was the Warner Brothers who I told you at the time, yeah, these guys are gonna go out of business. Right, and they're gonna get bought out, and somebody else gonna own Batman and everything when it's all said and done, because they've been making stupid decisions. They gave Peter Jackson 1.5 years. This is a dude who took like 5 years, 7 years when it's all added up, actually, to make the original trilogy. And you gave him 1.5 years, and that's why when people talk down that movie, I'm like, 1.5 years. He did that with 1.5 years. Let that sink in, bro. Like, that shit is a crowning achievement. He should have got an Academy Award just for that ridiculousness. But anyway. It's one of those situations, you know, where, oh, you didn't have time, there was, you know, too many cooks in the kitchen and things like that, like, whatever, like, yeah, man, it happens with things, you know, and sadly, Metroid Prime 4 is a game series that done went through it, and that's a damn shame, but hey, at least the end result was something that's fine, you know what I mean, that you don't gotta be. Like, I know there's some people like, nah, it's the worst thing in the world. It ain't the worst thing in the world. Stop it. Play more video games than if that's the case. Because that game, in a world where games got to come out and get 57 patches in the game, and games come out and they be broken and this, that, and yeah, like whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like Prime 4 Beyond is a really, really good release. A solid release in the actual IP and could be made better. Where, honestly, I'll say this. And wrap this up. Letting Retro Studios make the game from beginning to end. And that means if Tanabe, you the producer, you're going to come up with the story, yeah, do it with the director of the game who's actually going to be making the game at Retro Studios. You see how you came to them with this, oh, psychic ability, elaborate. Oh, the desert, we don't got no time to make it better. Like, imagine from the ground up them being able to cook up whatever they want to cook up. Oh, man, it would be great. At this point, I genuinely expect the next Metroid game to take all the wrong, like, just reading this, all the wrong feedback, and then they're going to play it super safe, and this is be like, all right, yeah, y'all got all of this right, but then at the end of the day, if you just make a Metroid Prime 1 again, it's going to be like, What they need to do is go against what all these people on the internet who now sitting there saying, oh yeah, Prime 2, 3 suck. Most Metroid games suck. I only like Super and Prime 1. Proving my point, which those are the same games, just like Ocarina of Time and Link to the Past. You can say whatever you want. Factuals. Factual actuals. And so you don't really like the series. So your opinion don't matter. Don't cater to them. Like, make the game that needs to be made. Look at first-person shooters out there, like I said, and build on that. Make Samus cool as fuck. Like, I don't understand why Samus wasn't the character in this game. It makes me sick that she wasn't the character in this game. You can't see her face in cinematics. She's only there at the end, and it's a beautiful character model. You didn't make her a character. Make her sick. Make her go, Make her grab enemies, and when she's doing the melee attack, poof. You know what I mean? Like, put her voice into the actual charge shot. You know what I mean? So if you charging the shot mid and you're like, bang. Like, give it that. Yo, when she was screaming and dread, that's Samus. That's my Samus. Love that girl. She was throwing up and shit in Prime 3 and all that. Love that girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, She was going through it, and people talking to her, and her, doing all these cool things and flipping around and being epic in cinematics and all that. Like, love that girl. There was sprinkles of that, but everything in this game was sprinkles, and not enough. And when it comes to her characterization, it was none, and that was the worst part. You know what I'm saying? Like the absolute worst part. And I just want to see the series be treated with way more respect, love, and care than what was given to this game. I felt like it deserved way more, and maybe it don't because of the sales, and maybe you're right, and maybe I just gotta accept that and move on. But just know, like, the idea of the Prime game that I wanted to make, it was, the level design was gonna be Prime. You was gonna walk into, shoot a door, open it, walk into the room, and then there's platforming up here, verticality in here, platforming pits where you could fall into lava and hurt. A lot of that stuff that makes Metroid platforming. But then there was always going to be a spider ball here. You got to go up that wall. Now you got to charge yourself in speed, boost yourself onto the other side, latch onto that one. Now you got the slinky from this game, Prime 4. Now you're using the slinky. Now you grapple, energy tank. Like, damn, that was a lot of shit. Yeah, but that's what it is. That's what it is. Walk into a room and it's like, oh, there's 3 space pirates here. Cool. Man, here we go. Shoot that one at a distance. Missile that one over there. Oh, this one close range. Let me block with my arm cannon. Oh, now, he's in a down state where I can run up on him and do this, quick time melee move. This glory kill. And here we go, out in third person. Every Metroid game made Samus pop out more in third person, which was cool. This one could have did more with that. And you see Samus do some cool thing, a cool move, whether she's doing a goddamn Hurricanrana, you know what I'm saying? Like straight up Frankenstein in these dudes into an arm cannon, boom, like crazy. Like different enemies have different things. Like it's like, oh yeah, you doing like now, like the first one is real simplistic. You run up on them, you grab them, boom, she does the move. The next one you grab them, it's like Dread, where you get the little the yellow chwing. So it's like, yeah, you grab them, you shot them, but now they gonna hit you because they got it's an enemy with like 5 arms or something. The other arm gonna hit you. So now the little gold spark comes up, ching. You press the button, bam, you dodge that. The other boom, boom, boom. Like you could have built on it. It's all there already. But you put your head in the sand to your own IP and to everything else. And that's not the way games are supposed to be made. You see what I'm saying? Like, for the people who's saying, oh yeah, Zelda should be like that old thing still, like, how many games started taking from Zelda? And I know Zelda Breath of the Wild took from a lot of other open worlds to make one giant, unique experience. But now there's games pulling from that and things like that. And you had games like Immortal Phoenix Rising come out after Zelda, which clearly was inspired by it. You know what I'm saying? And it's because they did new things. And Zelda has always inspired video games. But what is Metroid Prime 4 going to inspire right now? In the realm of Metroidvanias. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like Dread definitely did more and showing how stylish and cool and fly and flashy Metroidvania could be. But yeah, it's just sad that this is the way it played out, man. It's the way it played out. It is what it is. But yeah, that's it. This is my final time talking about Metroid Prime 4 and any kind of, oh my god, the negatives and da. I feel like I've covered it all, and I feel like it's now just people trying to like just beat on the dead horse, bully this game, or make people hate it who already decided that they've liked the game even if they didn't love the game. It's like, no, you should hate it. It's like, you're not going to convince me to hate the game because it's not worth hating, and that's just real talk. You know what I'm saying? But could it be better? It could be better. It could be way better. Way better. That's a fact. And I'll just leave it at that. So let me know what y'all thought of this in the actual comments, because this is a crazy, very revealing interview. I'm glad that Nintendo actually let this interview come out. I would have never thought something like this would have came out. Now I get why there was so much hoopla, during the break, where people was talking about this interview. Like, yo, it's crazy, And I'm glad I ignored all of it and experienced it here for the first time. It's mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Definitely going to check out other people's videos, see what they thought of this interview, because this is sick. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, to me, it's just not the way you go about making a video game, bro. Like, unless you like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put my head in the sand because I'm gonna just try all new different things that I never experienced. I've played so many video games. I'm gonna just do crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then still, I wouldn't say put your head in the sand, because what if somebody does the thing that you development? Because games take years to make, and they made something because they thought of that idea 5 years before you. Now their game is out, so you could play that, experience the thing that you had in mind, and build on it. But nope, nope, crazies. All these other games, Doom, Halo, learned a thing or two with environment and the way it felt to be in first person, visors and all that on your screen. And Metroid was like, "Nah, we go. We ain't gonna look at y'all like that." Well, that's some real uppity shit. Like it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know that's from. And I'm not trying to make this a thing like yo, like oh Japanese, but it's like yo, Japanese culture and all that. Like, but that's I don't want to make it that. I feel like it's Nintendo's culture. It ain't a Japanese thing to let's ignore everything else. Absolutely not. Because you look at somebody like Kojima, that dude is consuming everything, while throwing everything into his games, all these different ideas, right? And for better or worse, whatever you think, So it's not a Japanese culture thing. I don't want it to come off like that. Is what I'm trying to say, but it's clearly a Nintendo culture thing to ignore everybody else. This is why we're online. They be like, "Oh, look at this thing we got." And we're like, "Yeah, dog, we had that already for 25 years. What are you talking about?" And pretending like it's new to us. What's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's acting like you're in your own little video game world bubble. And then obviously, then you get the fan base who tries to justify it by saying, "Oh, but look, they're successful. They're cool, cool." Them being aware of other stuff isn't gonna make them less successful. They're not successful because of the shit that they don't pay attention to. Like, but whatever, man. Whatever. I'm done with this topic. Again, let me know what you think in the comments.